Hello, welcome to Books at the Bottom of the Stairs. My name's Lorene, and as you can see, there are still no books at the bottom of the stairs. Upstairs is just like I can't even describe upstairs. There's so much mayhem, and the books continue to be the last item on the list for organizing. So I have something that's a bit of a wrap up today. I have spoken about all of these books. I can do this for you. Sort of. All of these books. Is that in focus? Some are, some aren't. Well, the one on the end does not want to focus. Okay, anyhow, these are all the books that I own from the British Women Writers subgroup of things that they publish. One of them's not here, which is out on loan to my friend Cheryl. So I thought I would just wrap it up as a purchasing event, whether I thought this was a successful group of books to purchase. Now, as far as the British Women's Writers site, I have mentioned in the past that they have had some cyber attacks, and so the purchasing from this place might be a little bit complicated. I haven't gone back to purchase anything new, although I do have intentions to do so. So although I recommend the books, just approach the site with caution. They have been quite good about saying, this is the right site and so on. So you won't be led astray. Now, I purchased, at the time that I did this, I purchased 8 books in total. And thank you to the one viewer who pointed out to me that I should list the books that I mentioned in the doobly-doo below. I used to do that. I just got lazy. So yeah, slap my wrist and thank you very much. I'm glad of it. So I'll just quickly show you each of the books and give you a very brief synopsis. Oh, the Brave Music by Dorothy Evelyn Smith. And I will say that one of the reasons I purchased these books was because I loved the covers. So they were there was about 6 that were on offer in my local bookstore, and I picked up 2 or 3 of them and then did the rest online. So this particular book is about Ruan Ashley, who is a child in the time just before First World War, and she's living under a very strict rule of her father, but then she goes to a family home and encounters a slightly different method of being a child under the eyes of adults, and she encounters a young person called David, and the book takes us through sort of her coming of age and her relationship with David. I did enjoy this one. If I was a more serious book reviewer, I would rank these 1 to 8, but I'm not going to do that. I enjoyed this. Is that in focus? There we go. And one of the things I will say about all of these books, just overall, is that it's definitely a different writing style to what we're accustomed to. A lot of them were written sort of, let's just say 1910 to, I saw one that's a recent production of theirs. It's going to be from an author of the 1970s. So that kind of 60-year span. And a lot of these authors were popular at the time of a publication. They would have been a bit like the Danielle Steele type author of today. Maybe not huge hits, but really solid authors that people would pick up based on their name alone. They wouldn't really worry about what the book reviewers had to say. And there certainly wasn't a Goodreads available. Okay, The Tree of Heaven by May Sinclair. I think this was probably the first one that I picked up. Just look at that cover. So this was published in 1917, before women achieved the right to vote, and the victory of the First World War was far from assured. This tells the interweaving stories of Dorothea Harrison and her 3 brothers as their lives are overtaken by the outbreak of hostilities. As the old certainties of the previous century disintegrate, Dorothea takes up the cause of women's suffrage and joins the Women's Service Corps as her three brothers go off one by one to the trenches. I'm pretty sure that I enjoyed this one. Like some of these I read almost 2 years ago. So again, this one is a little bit different in terms of the sentence structures are a little longer. There's more sort of interspersed phrases within the sentence structures. And in typical British fashion, the emotions are there, but not always expressed. It was funny. We were talking about emotions over on the weekend and how some people really struggle to express emotions, and we all come back to, oh, is that just an Anglo-Saxon thing? I don't know. It's like you look at other cultures and they're like, wahoo, here's my emotions, and then here we've got people who just can't seem to, express even the smallest little bits. They're so... they want the truth. The truth is very important to just about everybody in all of these books, and yet there's a real disinclination to actually say what's in their hearts. Sally on the Rocks by Winnifred Boggs. I don't think this was one of my favorites. I think mostly the character of Sally was not my favorite character. She is a spinster searching for a husband. She flees Paris to the safety of a small town, Little Crompton, and under the roof of her guardian. And her guardian is quite a nice guy, the Reverend Adam Lovelady. How can you not be good? She's a warm-hearted, spirited heroine who is determined to settle into a comfortable life now that she is in her early 30s, but she has a rival for the affection of the village's most eligible bachelor, and her pursuit is further frustrated by a soldier tortured by his experience at the front and a secret in her bohemian past which follows her home. It sounds okay. I mean, I really enjoyed the blurb part of it, but there was something in the book that I didn't, it's not my top choice out of all. Dangerous Ages by Rose Macauley. That's quite a striking cover too. Like, the designers for these covers are really quite clever. Okay. This one is a lively and perceptive look at several generations of women within the same family and the dangers faced at each of these stages in life. Neville is celebrating her 43rd birthday and contemplating her future now that her children were gone. Her mother is in her 60s and is experimenting with the notions around Freudianism to try and give meaning to her life. And her sister Nan is a writer who has been fairly carefree and a bit adventuresome in her love life. And then she also has, the main character Neville also has a daughter, Gerda, who is kind of seeking her own way. Things are a little looser morally, I guess, in terms of what Gerda can get away with. And she's in love with someone who's probably not the best choice for her, which is also, if I remember the story correctly, at odds with one of her aunts, because it could be that Gerda's in love with her aunt's boyfriend or something like that. This was up and down. I liked parts of it. I really liked Neville. I thought that the mother was really a piece of work, and Nan I enjoyed. I would have liked to have seen more of Nan, and Gerda was kind of unformed, and that was part of the characterization that the author Rose Macauley was trying to achieve, that Gerda didn't have enough life experience against these other three women to really be that wise or that prepared for what was coming. So she's the neophyte in the story. And Neville, I felt at the end, disappointed me. She made some choices there that was more a case of me in my 60s thinking, oh, I think you could have done better with your choices. So don't want to give anything away, but I did enjoy this, and I'm pretty sure I read it fairly quickly, so that's another sign about whether I read something. If I read something quickly, then chances are I'm super enjoying it. Okay, now this one I certainly did not like. I ended up not finishing it. It's called Which Way? Theodora Benson is the author, and we have the main character, Claudia Heselton, who returns 3 times in a series of parallel narratives. So she comes into a room, she's got a letter in her hand, the phone is ringing, and she has just made a promise to somebody verbally. And the telephone call, how she answers the telephone call each time, once she says yes, once she says no, and once she doesn't answer the phone, I believe. And so each answer has a potential outcome, and so we follow these 3. Now, what's the problem with this whole book is that there's a spoiler on the back. It tells you exactly what's going to happen with each occasion, and so in case you pick it up, I'm not going to spoil it for you, but I kind of knew, I wasn't sure what was going to happen in instance 1 and instance 2, but by the time I was at instance 3, there was only one other option left, and I knew how it was going to end, and I thought, I don't want to, blah. Someone ate the rose off the cake. All right, Tea is So Intoxicating. I really enjoyed this one. Cheryl did not. This is written by Mary Essex, and she and I read this as a buddy read, and not my favorite cover, but probably maybe my second favorite of all of these books. So we've got David and his not quite wife, Germaine. Germaine has left her husband in order to be with David, and David turns out to be just such a lunkhead. And so she's getting more and more frustrated with David. David is an extremely frustrating character. Germaine is still in contact with her husband, who she has not formally divorced, and she's got her daughter. What was her daughter's name that was so... Ducky, I think it was. Anyways, the daughter is just awful. Like awful in the kind of way that if she was in the room, you'd have to find a reason to leave. But as the reader, it's just like, oh my God, she's so awful. There's Mimi the cook, who's comes from let's somewhere, Ukraine, Estonia, somewhere like that, and she claims to be a cake baker, which she seems to be pretty good at, but she's also on the run from something. So it's a whole, like, the village doesn't, what's happening? Why are they all together? So David has decided that he wants to open a tea garden, and he's going to do that in a village that he's just arbitrarily decided needs a tea garden. There's no, there are, in all of David's decisions, almost 0 facts, an investigation. So does the village want a tea garden? Does the village need a tea garden? Does he know anything about even pouring tea? No. So I found this pretty hilarious, but yeah, I think Cheryl was just not in the right place when she was reading this book and gave it a bit of a thumbs down. I think she would find that funny in another year. Anyhow, My Husband Simon by Mollie Panter-Downes. This was also a bit of an odd one, and I had a bit of a yes-no relationship with this book. We've got Nevis Falconer. She's a novelist, and she marries Simon Quinn, and it's a complete lust-love kind of thing that's going on. Anyhow, she gives it all up and then comes across someone who is more supportive of her as a writer, and so we see this decision-making between, husband, other guy. The other guy is not physically interested in her. He's more interested in her as a writer. And so she's got all these life decisions to make. So I liked parts of it, and other parts not so much. I think that, out of all of these, there was one that I really, The Tree of Heaven. I'm pretty sure it was either The Tree of Heaven or Oh Brave the Music that I was in my top 3. Well, there are a total, when I was purchasing these, there were only 12 available. And the 3 or 4 that I chose not to buy, I had good reasons. I either had read the author and didn't love them as an author, or the synopsises didn't really strike me. So I went back just a few minutes ago and checked the website, and those 4 I would read if I didn't have to pay for them and pay for shipping. I think if they're at the library and I see them, I might pick them up. So there are 14 that have since been put out on offer since I did this purchase 2 years ago. 2 of them are short stories. One has to do with Christmas season, and one is called Seasonal Stories. And which season? Don't know. Probably Christmas season. It's probably that kind of warm stuff. Warm, cozy stuff. So I generally don't buy short stories, so I won't look at those 2. I did look at the others really, really fast. There's one from 1971 that I think I won't read. It just didn't capture my attention. But the other, what is that leaving? Is that 9? Leaves us with 9. There were some pretty interesting synopsis there. Rose Macauley has another one there. She's the one who I did like. There was one by Delafield. So there were a couple of good authors there that they've chosen to reprint. So I recommend it. I think that overall it was a successful purchase, and I think that maybe in the spring, I've done a lot of shopping at my local bookstore, and I'm working my way through those books, and I have a couple of difficult books coming my way with respect to book clubs, so I'm not feeling a real need to do any deep shopping. But probably come the spring, I might consider purchasing them because they're great. They are great little books. In terms of the other reason why they're great is they're so lightweight and they fit into your purse real super easy, or your bag or backpack, whatever it is. And they've got these French flaps, so you don't even have to take a bookmark with you. Look, works out as a bookmark, both ends. It's great. So it's a great traveling book. I guess that's it for me. I would say that overall the experience has been more positive than anything, and I'm glad I took a chance on it. So that's it for me right now. I hope all your reading dreams and adventures continue to come true, and I will see you next time. Possibly there'll be some books there. We'll see. Take care for now. Bye-bye.